Well, good evening. Good evening. Welcome
Hey.
back. What's up, Mr. Dr. Matt?
Not much, man.
How are you?
How's it going? I'm good. I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Overall, I
good.
guess, is considering. Well,
Yeah. Considering.
considering.
Dot.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, here we are.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we're doing every other week. So it's been 2 weeks since
Couple
we've done this
weeks.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have you back, Matt.
Thanks,
so
man.
cool.
Thanks for having me.
Cool.
I like doing this with you.
It's fun.
And
I think we get a little everything in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I did a live last week just on the fly because it's cheating a little bit with making videos.
Totally.
It's actually kind of easy, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Show you doing your own stuff, and might as well.
Yeah. I had some things to do in the office anyway, so I kind of killed several birds with one stone, so to speak. No birds are actually harmed in that process, but it's a metaphor. Good. Just to get everybody relax. But yeah, we're back. Building Wealth and Health live stream. We're doing this every other week now. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button and that little bell, and then it'll tell you when we go live again. Yeah. You don't have to worry about checking back in. You can just, the phones and all the devices that you have will pop up, unless you're my wife. So somehow Katrina gets delayed everything.
Yeah.
And for a while, I thought she was just BSing me. With all my stuff. She's like, I just don't get notified when stuff comes out. And then like a week later, she's like, oh, I got notified. I'm like, I think you're just BSing me. But I did see, so we watched the Dude Perfect channel too with the kids a lot. And it was funny because we all got the little notification that they had a new video come up. And Katrina's like, mine didn't notify me. And we were telling her, well, let's watch the video. It was a good one. And then the next day, literally, she's like, look, see, it just now notified me. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with your crap. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Anyway.
Some setting in there, probably. Who
Something.
knows?
Or I'm like, maybe you're just not liking videos. You're, whatever. Anyway, I guess it wasn't just me, so I feel a little better.
Yeah. It's not personal, man. Not personal.
Always. It's always personal.
It's always about you.
Always about me, man. It's always me. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yes, we're back. Our topic tonight is integrity. And man, there are a lot of things we can dive into with integrity in a timely fashion in both of our professions. It has multiple meanings within our professions even, which is kind of cool. And then, some stuff we can dabble in as far as recent events. If you want to get into that, that's, another way to go.
For sure.
But if you guys are here, don't forget to hit the like button. So I will say this real quickly. And I noticed recently, I was on another stream. Actually, I was talking to somebody, another actually really big YouTuber that I'm friends with. I'm not going to give out names because then something happens on the YouTube analytics there. But he was asking why you can get like several thousand viewers on a live stream and get like 300 likes and I think I figured out what's going on. So hit the thumb if you guys like the video for sure. It doesn't tie you to us in any way. Like I'm not going to like get your personal information. It's not going to like blast you with stuff from us. Like doesn't do any of that. All it does is actually create an analytic where it starts being pushed towards the top of search criteria based on whatever we're talking about, titles, so forth. And that just helps us get channel views, and the channel views grow the channel, get more subscribers because more people can see it, so forth. Same thing with the subscribe button. It doesn't like give us your personal information. In fact, I get notified when new subscribers come in, but then I can't like go search you up. I can't go like back into the channel and actually look you up. I can't like,
there's no list of subscribers.
There's no list of subscribers anywhere. I don't have any information on you. So don't, if that's what's holding people back, I'm just saying for in the general purpose of YouTube, don't be afraid to do that. The only thing that actually the thumb does for people that are watching videos is it just can save the video for you to go back and reference later if you want to do that.
Right.
After that, there's nothing that happens.
And it'll change your algorithm for your what shows up.
It can. Sometimes it does for me on certain stuff that I watch. Sometimes the only thing I've noticed that it actually works for is like some of the stock channels that I watch and mountain biking. After that, it's
really?
The most random stuff still pops up in my, I'm like, what in the hell? And then every once I'm like, ooh, this seems kind of interesting. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
So
and down the rabbit hole it can go, right?
Down the rabbit hole it can go. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, how those algorithms work and how people can.
Yeah. It's a wild world. Yeah. It's a wild, and it keeps changing all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. So,
but hit that thumb, hit the subscribe button and the bell if you want. It does help us. I mean, we're doing this because we like to. We're doing this because we like to get information out to people and talk to people. But we definitely would like to bring information out to more people.
Yeah.
On all levels.
Want to grow it. Levels. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And like I always say, you can follow Dr. Matt on Instagram. He's got all kinds of great posts. He does go live there once in a while on IG and has some good content on there. So don't forget to do that. And I want to promote ourselves for a minute. I've got some new shirts. Dr. Matt has one too. And I'm going to remove that. There you go. Just another line of the BBB shirts. That's not what I wanted to do. There. Go grab that if you want one. Amr Fati. You guys know about that at this point, but just something that we tend to live by, especially this day and age. So, go check that out if you want one. That's the end of my promotional crap. Let's get into integrity.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's get squirrely. Let's start with the definition of what integrity is, shall we? Okay, this is fun. I always like doing this because I used to actually read the dictionary as a kid. So I do like looking up I mean, I would get lost in it sometimes. My mom would be, hours of homework would go by and she's like, are you done? I'm like, no, what's going on? Oh, I'm reading the dictionary. I just found another word I was interested in.
Yeah.
It was weird, but I'm always like into just definition of words and where they come from and synonyms and the whole thing. So integrity in itself is a firm adherence to a code of especially moral, that's a good word, or artistic values, incorruptibility, which is very timely, I think, right now, an unimpaired condition or soundness, or the quality or state of being complete or undivided. Completeness is another synonym, and I'll scroll down here because I like the synonym part too. Character, decency, goodness, honesty, morality.
Yeah.
Probity. I can't talk tonight. Probity. Because I'm looking 3 words ahead.
You can do it.
Righteousness is a good one too. Virtuousness, virtue.
Yeah.
Rightness, uprightness. So antonyms: badness, evil, evil doing. I mean, we kind of get
interesting.
This. Yeah, we kind of get the sin was another one I saw in here earlier.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is. When I think of integrity, and I did this Instagram live about it because it was kind of just something that was on my mind, and I think it's really, really easy. And it's interesting that that's in the dictionary, some of these things, because
Merriam-Webster.
Yeah. I mean, for a longest time, I really related to integrity, really dominated by that kind of morality kind of aspect of it, and how I think in our world today, a lot of people have integrity kind of in that frame of mind more than the other ones. And I was actually in my whole Instagram, in my live, I was talking about the kind of more the other aspects of integrity that I think are it's all kind of part of the same picture. So I don't think that they're completely different, but I just, sometimes I think when we have this sort of morality, good, bad, right, wrong kind of aspect, it kind of, it adds a bit of heaviness to it, and it adds a bit of, kind of judgment and stuff like that to it that I think is important at times, but I also feel like in some aspects of our life, it doesn't really serve us to be in that state. So I mean, how I look at integrity is really this sort of idea of being whole and complete, and like the and workable. And I think I love the idea of workability.
Right.
Like if something is in integrity, it works. Like, and the best example is, well, there's lots of examples, but a great example is like a wheel on your bike. And in order for a wheel on a bike to work well, it has to be in integrity. And that means it has to be perfectly round. All the spokes have to be straight.
I was gonna say, what keeps it all in line? This is
Yep.
great because Willow, if you're listening, she was asking me the question of what's the purpose of a spoke?
Yeah. It keeps the wheel whole. Without spokes, the wheel wouldn't stay true. And by true, that means the circle is perfectly round. And so all the spokes have, and this better than I do, you can adjust them, they're tight, they could be tightened and all that, basically to hold the wheel in its proper form. And then it works. Then it rolls smoothly. It rolls and it moves. Now it's very easy for things to get out of integrity, right? Like you hit a bump in the road, your wheel might bend a little. Maybe, maybe it's ridden a long time and the spokes get wiggled loose, right? So over time, you start to have less workability in that wheel.
Right.
And then you're like, it's like, God, something doesn't feel right as I'm riding. It just doesn't, it's not as smooth. It's not as forgiving. It's not as easy. And it's because the wheel's out of integrity. And so what do? You get it trued up. You get it fixed
the
up.
Wheel.
Yeah. And get it. So it's going to roll the way it's designed to roll. Maybe you got to get a new wheel if you screwed it
up. Sometimes you wreck it hard enough.
Yeah. So, I think that's, when we talk, so that I like the idea of workability with that, it takes away all this kind of heaviness of morality and stuff like that. It's like, does it work or not? And what can we do to bring back workability? What can we do to bring back to something that's not working? And how can we restore that integrity? And that's where I think some of the morality and some of the good and bad aspects come into play, because things that throw off integrity, like you can think of different, all kinds of things you can think of in the world, right? That change integrity. But, we can even look just personally, one piece of integrity is I think is your word. Like giving your word to something. Say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it by this time.
Right.
That puts you in integrity, right? With your wholeness, right? With your, with what you said you'll do.
It puts you in the right space to allow energy to perform correctly for you in the world, right?
And so you have workability. So it works, right? And it works for everyone around you, right? Like if I tell you, hey, I'm going to meet you at 4:00, and I show up at 4, our appointment that works, right? Whatever it is workable.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So, when we're talking about when people aren't true to their word, then there's some lack of integrity, right? They may not be an evil, more immoral person, but it doesn't really work, right? It's like, you know what, I was here waiting for you for half an hour. That doesn't really work for me. And so what do you do if you're that person then that's going to be late? Say it's like, oh shit, I'm supposed to meet Shane at 4 and I'm not gonna be there till 4:30.
Right.
It's like you restore that integrity. You're like, hey, I told you I'd be there at 4. I can't be there till 4:30. I know that impacts your afternoon. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. Boom.
Right.
You're back in integrity.
Yeah.
And you're not it's not a morality thing.
Sup, Coop.
Hey, Coop.
Thanks for joining in, buddy. Yeah,
So,
so you're right, and you can almost like buy that back, right? Like you own
yeah,
up to
yeah,
things happen. We make
sure.
mistakes, we're human, but you can buy that back in by saying, "Man, there's no way I'm going to make it."
Yeah.
I'm just going to call him and say, "I blew it. I got
Yep.
behind. I forgot. Whatever it is, just own it and say
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be 4:30. Does that still work? If not, I'll make it up to you somehow."
Right.
Integrity's there,
You get
right?
back into integrity, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, again, it's just workability, right? And there's no, and I just sort of see. I mean, you and I, we have our different professions that we do, and we see. I mean, God, there's so many examples of integrity across all aspects of what I do.
Mhm.
Um, not only in business, I think any business has to have integrity, workability, uh, but then just generally, I think of in things around health and stuff like that. So, I mean, we could
Yeah.
get into a lot of examples around that, but I just wanted to kind of lay that as like at least the way I come at integrity initially, um, for how I live my life. So,
Yeah, and it's, that it's people take that more as well, I've made a mistake. My brother's he's phenomenal at this.
mm-hmm.
He makes a mistake. He feels like someone's going to, look at him wrongly or look down upon him or be angry with him or, whatever. It's going to cause grief on some level. And
Right.
so his decision every single time, and since the day he was a kid, he's done this, is just to like drop off the face of the earth. Just go dark.
mm-hmm.
Something will come up and I won't hear from him for 2 weeks, something like that, where I'm going to meet him somewhere and something weird happens. And instead of
Yeah.
him just calling me like, I can't make it,
Mm-hmm.
or I forgot, or instead of him owning and having to deal with the fact that I may be disappointed in him, which was
Sure.
99% of the time is never the case, but he, for whatever reason, in his own world builds this. And then he just like doesn't call, doesn't show up, which of
Yeah.
course is like way worse. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then weeks
Yeah.
go by. So over the years, what has happened when I've ever tried to do things with him or make plans, or at one point we were considering even starting a business together and we were discussing things, it's like I can't go down this road with you, or I can't make plans with you because I know what's going to happen.
Right.
If
Yeah.
the
It's not.
moment
It's not
something happens,
workable.
it's not workable, and
Yeah.
there's not integrity with that.
Mm-mm.
There's not there's no honesty there. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at all the synonyms I can use. It's
Yeah.
decency. It's a decency of the situation. You
Yeah.
The decency would be I blew it again.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But
Right.
no, it's I'm going to go dark. And then after this, like he's got this threshold in his mind of after a certain amount of time, it'll be okay. Shane will forget about it. We'll be back to normal. And then I can call him again and ask for something,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what it usually does.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. I mean, I've gotten to the point where, you know, it's not, he's lost it. They're like the integrity,
Right.
in order
Right.
for him to buy back that integrity
Mm-hmm.
would be, I mean, let's relate it to the stock market for a minute, shall we? That's
Well,
like,
that was another reason I was thinking about all this.
that's
So yeah, I mean,
that's
it's all part of it, right?
yeah, that's a lot of AMC contracts right now.
Hey man, I got you some AMC
It's
stock.
expensive. It's expensive, bro. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
expensive now. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, I guess catapulting in some other stuff we'll call them endeavors. You know what I mean? Um, I do a lot of different things, but my core business is home building and real estate. And they kind of overlap each other in many levels. I talk about that all the time. I also I'm an investor. I have been for a long time, and that's not in just real estate, but in the stock market as well. And we want to talk about integrity in the market right now. And
Mm-hmm.
Coop can definitely chime in on this. We are in the middle of the biggest cock up of, and it's just a mess. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's the biggest Ponzi scheme in the market I have ever seen in my lifetime, for sure. But based on what has transpired, what is going on, the amount of shorting that we're not going to mention them, Melvin Capital, Citadel, all the big hedge companies that have done this for years. And this is not a short-term thing. This is their business model. And you can take it even further and say the market makers have allowed this because, and this has happened for a long time with the synthetic plays that are now in the market, and what's created from this and catapulted from this and snowballed from this has become the most, let's just pull one, immoral. Okay. It's just the most immoral thing you can do, because they're literally taking advantage of a situation that has been allowed to them for so long. And this is a business model. There's no integrity behind it.
No.
And I'm a firm believer that eventually these kinds of things catch up with people. And I think because of everything that we've looked at, we're going to be for sure starting to see that happen.
Totally. Totally. Well, you can see the lack of workability in it, right?
And
like
accountability, like you've said. Exactly. Yeah.
It just doesn't work. And it works for a short time. Like your bike wheel, you'll get home if you have a bent rim.
Sure. You can ride home with no spokes.
You can ride home. It's not going to be fun. It's not really workable, but you can do it for a while.
Yep.
Until you can't.
Right.
And, that's, I mean, in my world, like I'm seeing that. I see that. I mean, I've seen it for a long time. It's not new either in the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, you talk about an industry that's built on corruption and lies. There's no question about it, and have they created some things that have helped people? Sure.
Of course.
But, when you realize that they're part of their business model is, not necessarily with vaccinations, but with a lot of other drugs, they factor in to their business model potential losses they'll have to pay out based on negative results and adverse reactions.
Right.
And so they know that, okay, so many people are going to get hurt and we're going to have to pay this much money. Okay, well, we're going to make this much though. So that it ends up being a wash, or, they can count it. They factored in as an expense of doing business versus kind of an aspect of, hey, is this the right thing to do? Is this something that's, good for humanity, good for people in the long term? Is this just a short term get rich thing? And it's hard to watch, when you start to see, I mean, it's true.
Love that category, but that's 100% correct.
It's not far from the truth, right?
Yeah.
And and they
short-term liabilities.
Yeah.
It's a write-off.
And you just write it off, you just cost of doing business, and that's like, whoa, at least for me, and it is easy to, again, when you start to see this lack of accountability, when you start to see these sort of people that get into these positions that just have no, it's like they're not starting from the place of completion and integrity, right? They're not starting from a place that's already solid and workable. So it's like a bent wheel to even begin with, right? And then they'll spend the rest of their time just riding a bike with a bent wheel, trying to make it work and propping it up however they can. And so it's not sustainable, and it's not,
none of it's sustainable, and you're seeing the result of that. And like in any other big aspect of any business statutes that I've been in, any long-term real estate plays, investments, home building, whatever it is, the story is told at some point. Sometimes it lasts longer than it should. But for example, framing is a big, I would call it a passion of mine, but it's something I go around and teach and pound my fist in the sand about a lot, because there are components to framing that have to be done a certain way. And even though RSC code allows us to do certain things a certain way, it doesn't have the same integrity if you just do it by minimum code.
Right.
For example, the type of nail that is used to frame a 2x4 wall or a 2x6 wall. There are nails that are called they're measured from, I'm not going to go into it, but it's a measurement that was used from a long time ago based on the size of a penny head. But 16D nails are required for framing exterior and interior walls. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a 3-inch nail at a certain head dimension. And that's how it's measured. And that's required. That's in the code book. Now, it doesn't say anything about should you use smooth shank or ring shank nails. Smooth shank nails, everyone, well, I won't say everyone, but framers, especially older ones, will use, because if they F up, it's really easy to pop them out, right? You hit a ring shank, it's just like a screw. It's got ridges on the actual shank itself all the way up, and it has a grip strength that is 10 times that of a smooth shank nail. And it's funny to watch when someone shoots it and there's a misfire, or they put it in the wrong spot, or they frame the wall the wrong size, whatever it is, they have to pop the wall out, and they curse themselves trying to get that out. But that's the reason for using the nail.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
You watch those when we're stick building homes and you're running smooth shank nails, and you watch these, especially production builders, put these things up, and they're manipulating walls and slamming stuff together and going, they're blowing and going. Watch how many times those plates will pull out, the 2x4s will pull away from each other just slightly, because they're being manipulated so much and twisted and shoved in wherever they need to go, compared to a wall that's framed with ring shanks.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same integrity.
Yeah.
And it's not only just the integrity of the structure, but it's the integrity of the builder and the framer and whoever's doing it, saying, I take the extra step because I know it's better.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have that for the long term.
Yeah.
Right? Just take that extra step. The funny thing is, they don't even cost anymore.
Right.
It's the same price.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great example, I think, of doing something because you're in integrity. And that person who's doing it is in integrity with themselves and what they want to put out as a product, and I think that's, at the end of the day, it is really about your own integrity. Like, that's, I think the other thing I wanted to talk about is, like, it's so easy to look around and be pissed off about the lack of integrity we see around us. And it's so obvious, people just are, it's awful. There's the corruption and things like that. But, really, if everyone was in integrity, if everyone was so complete with who they are and what they're about, we wouldn't be having these conversations.
No.
How could you screw someone over on a build with a shitty wall, right? If you're in that integrity, how could you create a product that's going to hurt people? How could you be a part of a company? How could you, promote something with, advertising that, that is going to cause more problems, right? I mean, I feel like you just wouldn't do it. And it's not, in a way, it's not even about judging or morality because it's bad or good. It's because you're so clear about what you're about that you can't get into that. And it's like not even like a part of your world. So
traditional. Hey man, rough carpentry is fun too. But I get it. Traditional woodworking is another good example, or especially guys that have learned how to use hand tools and the craftsmanship. That should be another synonym of integrity, craftsmanship.
Yeah.
It's building something that's so precise and so perfect.
Totally.
You take so much pride in it.
Oh,
that
you couldn't build it if you didn't, right?
No.
Like if those joints don't go together,
right?
If they're a millimeter off, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you got to start over, right?
You got to start over, or you manipulate it, right? And sand off a corner, or you pound down one side of, let's just say it's got a bow tie joint and it's not locking together. You're going to manipulate it so it's not going to look right, and it's not going to stay together.
Eventually it'll fall apart.
Eventually it'll fall apart. And then the integrity of that is going to be weakened. And not only that, but you're going to sell it to somebody if you're just, if you're a professional woodworker, and you're trying to put your name on that thing. And that means you don't have any integrity. You don't care.
Yeah.
If you cared, you would have been like, I know I screwed this up. I should just start over. Screw it. And we see that all the time. I mean, that's mostly what we're talking about. Is that
we're all out of integrity a lot of times. I mean, I think it's just like we talked about earlier. I think it's just getting yourself back in integrity. That's also important. It's like, because life happened, your windshield can get dinged by a rock, right? The integrity of the windshield's gone, right? Okay. It doesn't, but to your point, there's a sense of craftsmanship and pride and other things, right? That goes into this, a lot of the work. And I think when you have that, then, you don't, like, integrity is not even a question in a way.
Yeah. And that, and that's, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, whoops, Coop was talking about, learning from his dad, and his dad was a carpenter. And that's part of what's happening is, the lack of integrity when it comes to teaching. And just and I was actually having this conversation with Coop earlier today, and we were talking about, I think part of it is incorporated into just being lazy. People are just inherently lazy.
Yeah.
And his dad took the time to teach him the right way to do things. But a lot of employers don't even teach you the right way to do things. I mean, I working for a builder in high school and college and a landscape company and do other things I was doing, there were different bosses that I had, and some of them were so into teaching it correctly. And you have to learn how to do this a certain way because of the fact that it's going to fall apart if you don't.
Yeah.
Other guys were just literally for the dollar and just said, hurry up. And they didn't care. In fact, if we didn't go fast enough, you might get fired.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you cared about it. Or like, hey man, this wall is a quarter inch out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it does matter. It does matter.
I was talking to my friend Larson about that, because he had a house that he owned in Longmont with built on, sounds just like shitty soil to build a house on. And he said that, they had to, after about 2 or 3 years, you have to like jack it up again. It just was sinking.
Or build a foundation that works.
Yeah. Well, they can't even, and it clearly wasn't built that way. And they can't even find the builder because it was one of those builders that got sucked up by a bigger builder, and now they're no longer around. And it's like, yeah. So, I mean, it is really hard to see sometimes, I think, in the world around us, especially people that have integrity, because you really care. But I also think that's why I do think it's like such an inside job for yourself. And if you have integrity, you'll find people that have integrity. You'll expect integrity. And you'll restore your own integrity constantly, because we're never perfectly in integrity. I think, it's just things happen, life goes on. And so it's always just a matter of taking responsibility. I think one of the things like I think about in my line is the integrity. We talk about the integrity of the gut. In that context, we're talking about how the cells kind of stick together and are able to, in the digestive tract, to allow proper absorption and proper detox and immune system action and things like that. And for many people, their integrity of their gut is totally compromised. It's it just doesn't. They have a very weak digestive tract, and so. How do we restore that integrity? And, it's, proper diet. There's different, protocols and different things that help with that. But, at the end of the day, there still is this level of like responsibility that people have to put into their body the things that are going to restore some integrity. They're going to build that integrity in their gut back. No one's going to do it for them.
Right. And they're not going to, they give you excuses. They give you reasons why they can't. They don't own it. Like my brother, like just, I screwed up, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean by like, we're never perfectly giving ourselves sometimes what we need. Right. It's right. It's also like, it's like, I had those, how many drinks did I have? 5. Oh, that doesn't work. That's not workable.
This is not working. This is not a long-term solution.
I'm out of integrity here with what I want to do in my life to the next day. Right. So it's like you restore it. You're like, all right, we're going to do this today. We're going to do this. And
you can buy it back
and move on, and move on with it. And work not to do it again, or work to, but yeah, I mean, there's just so many different things I was seeing in the world, and just noticing the integrity was out, and, then checking in with myself and being like, all right, is my integrity in what can I do to bring my, restore my integrity? And
Yeah. Yeah.
because,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now that has to do with
Mhm.
that. And there's been a lot of, I mean, everyone's probably been on some level seeing it, at least reading a headline, which please don't do that. I'm really sick and tired of people just reading headlines and then regurgitating something that you don't know anything about. So be
Yeah.
careful with all the information that's out there on any level.
Yep.
Do
Yep.
your own research. It's very easy to find it, actually. Again, don't be lazy. It's super easy to get information. You can always ask us too about anything like that on any level. Just hit us up. So the integrity of things that are going on right now, especially with we want to claim there's unknown or misinformation is one of the big words right now, and the integrity behind the people claiming misinformation. It's for an agenda. Most of it's for an agenda.
Yeah.
And they'll say it because they either don't want to admit that they may be wrong, and that's part of the problem too, is people have a hard time admitting, like, I screwed up, like we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
Just owning, like, you know what, I have the wrong information and we have new information and here's something that's better.
Right.
The goal of we'll talk about COVID for a minute. The goal of the integral part of what we're trying to do here is get back to a workable society across this globe, right? We're
Mhm.
trying to get people to stop being scared. We're trying to make sure people are going to stay healthy.
Mhm.
And there's lots of things that we should be doing anyway, but we can certainly do now.
Mhm.
But there's integrity missing with what is claiming to work and what's claiming not to work.
Yeah.
And people are very confused right now as to what they should be listening to, adhering to. I'm not going to use any more words because it's basically going down a rabbit hole of
Mhm.
utter diabolical corruption.
Right.
And that's what's scary to a lot of people. And that's why there's a lot of mistrust. And when there is a lack of integrity with people, mistrust becomes
I
a
think
bigger and bigger issue.
I think that's what you just said there is kind of at the crux of it all, like when you have integrity, when things are workable, when it's in completeness and wholeness, you trust it, right?
Yep.
Like you do that crazy downhill bike stuff, right? Your wheel better be true.
Yeah.
You trust it is, and you
Mm-hmm.
trust and you go, and it's workable. And I think that's really at the crux of the matter right now is we're just seeing why it's so divided and so hard to understand is that it unconsciously people don't know that the integrity is off.
Yeah, no one's trusting each other. I
There's
mean,
no, yeah, there's
there
no
should be
integrity.
information that's being shared all across the globe right
Mm-hmm,
now, right?
mm-hmm.
Listen, there are lots of intelligent, super intelligent people out
Right.
there that all have they ever done their career. I mean, just like you and I are very specialized in what we do. These people, these scientists and doctors from all across the globe study this kind of thing
Yeah.
all the time.
Right.
And they all have just like I have a different way of doing a wall assembly than some other builder. Doesn't mean I'm better than them. It
Right.
means I have a different way of doing it. The end goal is the same.
Yeah.
It's trying to acquire an assembly that's going to work, is efficient, is built for the long haul, whatever, right? We all have our different ways of putting that together. There's no one correct way, other than a few minimum code requirements. The same is true for what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we should be sharing that information. Here's what I just found. Here's what I just found. What does this show to you? What does this data show you? Instead of sitting there and literally bashing each other,
Right.
claiming misinformation, censoring people. These are people that have won Nobel freaking prizes.
Right.
Should
Oh,
you
I know.
revoke the Nobel
Right.
Prize then?
Right.
Like, come on. This is what
Right.
they do every single
Right.
day. And as you, of course, know, science is an ever evolving, changing
Mm-hmm.
environment where we learn all the time.
Yeah.
So there should be no shaming people. Again, having integrity is the big part of this, and finding like, hey, I have a better solution, or I have something that's going to work with your provided solution.
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't be throwing things around, right? And
Yeah.
like Coop was saying, You know, they don't care, man. They don't care how they're going to be remembered. They care about the here and now. They care about the dollar. They don't even think about it half the time. And this is
Right.
part of what's the problem. I'm just noticing that my glare is starting to get worse in here.
Oh,
I'm
the sun's
realizing,
changing. Yeah.
yeah, and it's
Uh-huh.
only 5:40.
Uh-huh.
So that's crazy. Or damn, fall's coming, man. Son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah.
Anyway, and yes, egos are involved, and that is the problem, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, like I said, I mean, I feel like I'll speak for myself. I think, I've always had an inherent distrust of the system of medicine, for example, that's been established, because I know the history of it, and I know how corrupt it is. And I can see the lack of integrity in it. So when you start to see more and more examples of it, and you start to see, God, there was just a paper. I don't know, it was a paper or study that came out just recently, and USA was at like the bottom of the like health outcomes of some. I have to. I don't have the details. I don't remember the details, but it was really, really low in the study. And I just saw that, and I was like, why is that not something that we question the narrative that I mean, here's the results, right? Like, this is actual results of what we're talking about. This isn't, and yet it's something that we trust. So, all these people are saying like, trust the CDC or trust the FDA,
Right.
or whatever. I'm like, but these are the people that are promoting these things, and look at the results that we're getting. Like, it's not working.
Track record.
Let's
Data.
look at that. Yeah. Again, this has nothing to do with whether I'm pro or anti whatever. I'm just saying, hey,
the information's right in front of you. Again, like Chris was saying earlier, it's easy to see it. It's not working. And you're actually, these groups are admitting this is not working.
It's not working.
Like, I keep saying to people, then great, what's the plan?
Right. What are we doing next?
There's super intelligent people in front of this. So now what? What would you like to try now? Instead of spending all of your time bashing someone you disagree with, which I'm so sick and tired of doing anymore. It's just it's creating gray hair on my head to sit there and say,
it doesn't serve anything.
Words. It serves no purpose. And the reason we got to this point with technology and the human race in general is because we didn't sit there and disagree with each other the whole time. Community involvement.
Right.
Can you put your head on the pillow at night and say, I just want to help. I want to be a good person. I want to do my job. I want to fix this. I want to come up with something new. If you want to have, this notoriety, this is not the approach at all.
Well, it's crazy. I think almost everyone in this country, and I can't speak for the rest of the world, but I likely true there too. They really want to just do their thing, go home, love their family, love their friends.
I'm close too.
That's what they really want, and
it's okay to disagree with somebody. Just make sure you're listening.
Yeah. And I think that's why I just come back to, like, for myself, all I can really have any control over is my own integrity.
Yep. And that's it.
And what am I going to be about? Am I going to be true to my word? Am I going to honor the things I decide to do, and what I stand for, and who I am? And that's all I can do.
Yep.
And otherwise it's just noise out there, and it is hard to watch, though, I gotta say. But
it's just it's something like this, something like what we're experiencing right now and the people are saying, you got to get away from it, and you stop watching the news.
Right.
And that's all true. I get it. You don't want to be involved in all the time, but it's in your face. It's one snippet of something that's constantly, and you can't get away from it.
It's not too, it's really, unless we
jump in a van and drive down to southern Utah in the middle of nowhere for a week. But even then, like we were talking about, so Matt and I want to, again, we want to practice what we preach. And so one of the things we've been talking about is just going off for a few days and just just chilling out, because I think we both I think everybody needs it on some level. And I encourage everyone to go out there to kind of restart. If you haven't restarted yet, go do it. Your brain
helps.
will love you for it. Your gut will love you for it.
Yeah.
Everything, your whole body will love you for it. And guess what? Your billfolds will love you for it too. It really will, because we're kind of, people are binging things right now because they're trying to like suppress something or replace something. And when we talk about on the channel building wealth and health, that's one of the things I'm seeing too, is people are just buying crap everywhere. It's crazy. I'm like, yo, slow down. Take that $3,000 and go buy some AMC calls. No, I'm kidding. But put it in, go invest it for real. Go invest it, put it away somewhere.
Yeah.
And so Dr. Matt and I have been talking, like, I think we both need a reset. And one of the things we kind of joked about, but even more, is just getting out somewhere and doing that. But we talked about like even getting an Airbnb and going somewhere with some scenery. We do live in a state that has plenty of options for stuff like that. We don't have to go very far. But, I'm like, let's just sit and trade for 5 days. The problem with that, guess what the problem with that is? In order to be successful,
you got to pay attention to what's going on.
You got to pay attention to what's going on. So it's in your face, right? And so it's hard. It's hard to get away from it 100% of the time. I mean, I have 2 kids in school. I have to stay up with emails about all kinds of different things.
I mean, I got people. I got patients coming in asking me questions, and what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's like, I mean, I almost have to schedule like 15 or 20 more minutes appointment at this point, because it just seems like that's what's how long it's taken.
I know,
because people want info. And so I want to be informed, but I get, but man, it's such an inside job though too. Like I just keep coming back to that, because the world's going to be fucking crazy anyway, all the time. It's not going to change. How am I in it? What am I about? And I just,
how much of it can you take? How much of it can you delegate? How much of it can you just move away from? I was having a good chat with some guys on a text chain today, and it's about, well, one guy was saying, well, that's the problem, is that, because I was saying, well, there's only so much you can do, and I'm not trying to change that stuff. And he's like, well, that's the problem, is no one wants to do that. I said, no, the problem is understanding what you can and can't change. And you have to accept that there's some things it doesn't matter.
That's that serenity prayer,
don't throw Hail Marys, man. You can't do that. I mean, I know how far I can throw a football, at least I used to. And there wasn't ever a day where I was going to say, oh, I'm gonna try and throw 90 yards.
Yeah,
it's not happening. You can't throw it 90 yards. It doesn't matter how many times you try. It's not about, well, just get up here with it. No. This is something I can't change. My physical ability will not allow me to do that, but I know what I can do, and I'm gonna stick with that. And those are the things that can make a difference. And that's part of integrity too, is staying within your means, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the other thing I think happens when people are out of integrity is they're constantly looking to they're constantly looking for things that will, like outside of them, to make them feel like they're back in integrity, right? Like to find other things to prop them up. But it's an inside job. Like you only know if you're in integrity. I mean, other people will see the results of it, and they might call you out on it and all that stuff, but it's like an inside job for what you do. Like for you, like once you frame that wall and you put that drywall up, nobody knows what's under there.
Not many people will figure it out, at least not for a while.
Not for a while.
What you have to understand is it will come back to get you. Something will fail,
totally,
and they're going to call you. That's why you have to have builders warranties. That's why we have to sign contracts to that point.
Right.
So eventually, it's just like ignoring something you have to deal with. It's going to catch up with you. AMC.
Right. Hedgies.
Citadel, all you hedgies out there, it's catching up to your ass. Eventually it will. So you can either then come around and say, how do I fix this? And guess what? When you fix it, it's going to be wonderful. But you have to understand, if you're going to be a dick, it will catch up with you. It's going to fall apart eventually. It's not going to stay like that forever. You can play cover up all you want. and we know who we're talking about on that level too. You can
Mm-hmm.
play, we can, and yes, doctors, a lot of doctors don't have integrity.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent many years going back and forth with just trying to find, practitioners I can talk to on certain levels, certain things. There's very few that I actually trusted. And I'm not saying that's the experience for everybody, but that was my experience in the
Mm-hmm.
healthcare world. It has
Right.
always been that way since I could actually start learning to question things.
Yeah.
And I realized going forward how much, I grew up in a group of doctors. I grew up with them. I was a group of doctors. They took me out and played golf with me almost every weekend. We talked about all kinds of stuff all the time. I got to the point when I was in college early on that I was like, I don't want to be an architect. What am I going to do? Pre-med. Well, I'm going to change my major.
Yeah.
I started loading up my schedule with all that stuff. I called those guys asking, what should I start with to go into pre and the whole thing. And then that's when I started questioning that stuff. I'm like, but do I want to be in a world that has that issue? And that's where I couldn't have been one anyway, but it doesn't matter. I was like, I can't do it. I can't do that.
It's true. You start to see it all over the place in different professions and different, it's not to say individuals in there have integrity or not.
I know lots of good ones.
Sure,
I know lots of good ones.
But you start to
great group. Yeah.
But you start to see the system as it's set up and how it lacks integrity and how it's not sustainable to stand. And, I see that, God, so many aspects of this medical model we have, it's just, from the insurance industry to the pharmaceutical industry to the,
it's a mess. It's a giant mess.
FDA, CDC, all that stuff. And again, not to say there aren't people within it that are, but I don't know how you'd stay in it after a while. Yeah. Like you couldn't. Like I couldn't. And
that was my driving force behind saying no.
Totally. But. And I'll say this too about what I do. Like if I feel like what I'm involved in isn't in integrity, I will get out of it. Mm-hmm. Like my integrity is that important to me.
Yep.
I don't care what, outside, because the naturopathic profession isn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of
no profession is
stupid
perfect.
Stuff with it.
There's integrity in it, and all industries. There's lack of integrity in all industries.
All of it.
It's all over the place.
But it's like when I look at where it was founded on. When I look at the energy and the people and that kind of thing, and then I can see where it came from. I see the integrity in that, and that's like the spark that keeps me going with it. But.
Karma is real, dude. Karma is a raging bitch. And trust me, I'm not gonna sit here and preach that I'm perfect on any level. I've done plenty of things that were shady on some level, right? I'm not talking about to other people, but just being a dumb teenager, a dumb kid, dumb person in my 20s, just shady crap, fake IDs. I'm not going to talk about everything because we probably don't need to share that stuff. But there was a reason why I was kicked out of Cherry Creek Mall for a while, like stupid stuff. But the thing is, I learned from that. I learned that was wrong. I learned I didn't like it. It felt icky. I didn't want to be that person. And I grew a moral set of balls, basically. And I said that we all do stupid things, but we learn from those negative experiences. Most of us do, because we're wired correctly, right? And we care. The rest of the people that we're talking about, I think there's something imbalanced with those people to be able to continually go over and over and over again the same way,
completely,
and not care and smile and lie and just perform that way. It's horrible to watch.
You see it a lot in all sorts of places, right? Politics and medicine and all kinds of things. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's really hard to watch. But, people are going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And
what can you do to help change things and what is out of your reach, right?
Yeah. What's the serenity prayer that, they say at AA is, God, give me the wisdom, grant me the serenity to know what I cannot change. I'm butchering it.
Help us out.
I'm butchering it here, but basically the end of it is the wisdom to know the difference. It's like what I can change, I'll change. what I can't change, it's, leave it alone, and the wisdom to know what that is. Yeah, that was horrible. It's not that hard, and I can't remember what it is right now, but
It's just, it's just better to say, I'm more
this
fussy.
well, true. I mean, both of those sayings are kind of at the core of that,
Yep.
like,
Yep. That's the hardest part when you get it to a point, I think in our lives, at least, where we've reached out and dug deep on information. We've also probably learned a lot more than other people want to. And the hardest part is realizing, getting all that information and saying, what do I do with all this? Some of it you can do zero with.
Yeah.
There you go. Here we go. Hold on. Thank you, Coop.
Yeah. Give me the wisdom. Yep.
Love you, man. There you go.
Yeah.
Give me the wisdom to know the things I can and can't change. Yeah. There you go.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yep. There it is. That's, yeah.
Which is, they say that at AA, which, I guess helpful in that context, but I think it's true anywhere you are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That applies everywhere for sure. For sure. I was going to try, there was something I want to pull up today that was on Instagram, but I don't see, I thought I saved it. I guess I didn't. That's too bad. Anyway, it was talking about, again, the things you can and can't do, and having the integrity to kind of carry with you. And it was basically, someone asked me the other day, what are you going to do when you make it to the top? And the post said, I'm going to turn around and reach back and help everybody else that was behind me, pull them all the way back up. The people that have it do that. The people that don't, well, you're seeing that.
Well, I think it brings back that conversation we had a while back about like how energy moves, and money is energy, and these things serve, can be there to just keep moving and keep moving and keep moving. And I think when you understand that, when you see that balance, right, then it's easier to be in integrity, because you're not really worried about outside things propping you up, right? Like you're solid in who you are.
You're doing it because you want to see the end product. You were doing it because you want to build that house and walk away knowing they're not going to call me back for anything. They can ride that shit for years, right? For 50 years, they're going to pass it down. Someone else is going to buy it. You can drive by that. I'm going to drive by the stuff that I built when I'm 80 years old. And unless they've torn it down because they're starting over, it's still standing. And I'm not worried about that stuff. And if there's ever a time where there's some iffy stuff going on, or I catch, it normally doesn't happen, but I catch a sub slacking or one of their employees or whatever it is that's going on, one of my guys, it's like, no, just listen. I know you're tired. I know you want to go home. I know you're doing this for a reason that has nothing to do with your care of the business, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. But you still have to have integrity, and you still have to care about what you're doing. And if you're that tired, then it's time to call it a day. Right? Make the decision, make the choice, so you can wake up tomorrow knowing you didn't screw up.
Be in integrity. Be like, hey, I know I said I'd finish this wall, but
not going to happen.
I can't do it today.
Not going to happen.
I'll be back tomorrow. I will come back at, a half an hour early because I left it early. Yeah. It works. Right.
Yeah. Speaking of Angel, if you are listening, right, if you have the stream on, I sure as hell hope that's getting painted. And you know what I'm talking about. Because it's almost 6 o'clock and you haven't, speaking of letting me know there's a screw up. If I haven't heard from guys at a certain point, I know what's going on. It's very simple. So, and they have integrity. I mean, these guys are great, but just, can you ping me please? Cause I do need to know.
Yeah.
Accountability. Amen, Coop. It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is.
Workability.
Live by just, make it work. Make it work. You're going to screw up. Accept it. Accept it. Accept it. It's okay. We all make mistakes. We all get tired. We all get sick. We all have a bad day. We all get mad at somebody for the stupidest reason. Love you, Blondie. We all have our issues that we're working through, but like we talk about, just like with when you're trying to like create wealth, don't give me an excuse of why you couldn't put $200 away this month. Just tell me you had to buy a PS5. That happens, right? Okay. So
sometimes you got to do it.
sometimes you just got to do it, right? I get it, man. It happens sometimes. But figure out a way to buy it back next month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just figure out a way to make it right. Every artist was once an amateur. We all started from the bottom.
That's right.
Drake. It's true though.
Yeah.
You're born in this world knowing nothing, right? You better walk away knowing a lot, and you better walk away on the things that you did know. You had them correctly aligned, and we have to learn that stuff along the way. Dr. Matt wasn't born a doctor.
No.
He wasn't born in this. I wasn't born knowing how to use a framing gun. I wasn't born knowing how to write a contract. I wasn't born knowing where to put money and how to trade options.
Right.
All of that's learned. And sometimes for a lot of my stuff, it was learned independently. It was learned on my own, for better or worse.
Right.
But we got to learn it. And yeah, we all start out at zero. So it's okay. It's okay if you don't know something, just own it and make it right. Bought an Xbox. It's tangible.
That's right.
That's why people can't get a hold of that stuff, man.
He
should have, but
I can hold it in my hands.
Imagine when AMC goes to 100K a share. How many Xboxes can you buy? Bro, one share. Come on. I'm telling you guys, if you're listening right now, as we wrap this up, I'm telling you.
Buy one share.
I know this is not normal trading regime. I get it.
And this is not financial advice.
This is not at all financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Do not do as I do.
I'm definitely not a financial advisor. So not that anyone worries worried about that.
If you want to capitalize on evil, buy a few shares. Just
do a little research in that.
Research on your own and make a decision. If you really need one, I don't want an Xbox. I want a PS5. I like PS5 better, but this ain't happening for a while. I mean, even if I wanted one, I can't get one right now. But it's hard for me to justify certain things because I'm putting money away every month and I'm investing in me. I'm debating whether to play. I think I'm going to skip playing this clip. I'm just going to leave it alone right now, especially now it's 6. But there you go. There's integrity in a nutshell. I know they're all fun, Coop. Trust me, I get it. I haven't played Madden in 6 months, man. It's the life and times of me. That's what it is. Growing older, although it is a luxury and it's a blessing, it's also shitty. It's kind of crappy after you have more integrity. I have integrity. I could play video games right now, or I could finish the work that is owed to a lot of people. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, you run out of time. So pick and choose what you want to do.
Yep.
Yeah. If you can find a PS5, bro, actually, I'll holler at you later about that. Now that you're saying that, maybe I'll think about that. Yeah, buying AMC is a hell of a lot of fun. I was up a lot of money at the beginning of the day too on my contracts. I'm not talking about shares. I'm talking about just the contracts.
Yeah.
It's gonna be more fun. We're getting into the fun now. For doing it the way we're doing it, this stupid trading mentality that's going on. This is the fun part. It's gonna get real fun for a few people.
For a few, yeah.
And there's others that we're talking about that don't have integrity. It's not gonna be as much fun. No. The Fed doesn't give a shit, and the SEC doesn't give a shit either. So, either way, it's ka-ching for them.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, man. Love it. Good topic. Good topic.
Definitely.
I appreciate everyone that's been sneaking in here, and I appreciate Coop for posting and not being shy.
Yeah, thanks guys for joining us. And
you can buy me one, bro. Keep the rest. No, buy me 0. If after AMC, I can afford it now. I'm just trying to be stingy. But after AMC, I may buy a bunch of PS5s for a bunch of kids. Trust me. I'll be Santa in September.
Yep.
Oh, right on, guys. Well, don't forget on the way out, hit that thumb. like we talked about at the beginning, it helps us. It doesn't tie you to us in any way. It just helps us, gets the stream moving around. It gets more people to see it. We don't know who you are. It doesn't give us information on you. Does nothing of the sort. It doesn't cost a dime. Hit the subscribe button if you're interested in anything else. Don't forget to follow Dr. Matt on Instagram. There he is right there. Love all of his content. He is a smart dude.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And then
yeah,
if you want an Amor Fati shirt, builtbybaileys.com's got him. Dr. Matt's rocking his tonight. Appreciate you guys stopping in. We will be back in 2 weeks. We're doing the stream every other week. I do go live every once in a while, and Dr. Matt, I is still trying to get him to. He's got a channel of his own. Search up Dr. Matt Reddy on YouTube.
Don't have much going on there yet, but yeah.
He does go live on IG too, and he does talk about lots of cool stuff. So follow him on IG for sure, and you'll get all that good stuff. All right, guys. See you guys in 2 weeks. Appreciate everybody. Have a good evening.
Yes.
Stay integral to your environment.
That's right. All right, guys. See you later.
We'll see you next time. Later, alligator.